Hi, I'm Ellen from the Chili Dog, and today I'm going to show you how to do an invisible or disappearing circular cast on. I'm using this cast on to start my toe up grand staircase socks. But the invisible circular cast on works for many projects that start with a small number of stitches. Generally, it's used for items that are worked in the round and start with an enclosed end, like these toe-up socks or top-down hats or mittens, or even amigurumi figures. However, I have occasionally used this method to cast on stitches for shawls that are worked flat in rows. Let's get started. The invisible circular cast on is related to the provisional cast on in that we're going to be casting on our stitches around a piece of yarn, but instead of being a piece of waste yarn, it's going to be around our yarn tail. To get started, I like to tension my yarn just by weaving it over under the fingers on my left hand. And then instead of starting with a slip knot, as we often do in knitting, we're going to do something that the crocheters out there might be familiar with, and we're going to make what's known as a magic ring. So you take your yarn tail and you're just going to lay it across the top of the working yarn, and you can see it makes this nice little circle here. We'll cast on our stitches around the circle, and after all our stitches are cast on, we'll be able to use the yarn tail like a drawstring and pull on it, and it will close up this magic ring and ultimately make it disappear. As you're casting on, the ring needs to be stabilized just by pinching where the yarns cross over with your fingers so that the loop doesn't come undone. And I'm going to pull on the yarn tail here and make the ring a little bit smaller because I don't need it super large as we're working. We're going to alternate as we're loading our stitches, and one stitch will be cast on with the knitting needle outside or above the ring, and then one stitch will be cast on with the needle going through the ring. And it's really important that the last stitch you cast on happens with the needle going through the ring. As we're loading our stitches, we're going to wrap this working yarn counterclockwise around our needle with the needle tip as the center of the clock. Since I'm casting on 8 stitches, I'm going to start with my needle outside the ring. I'm going to wrap my working yarn counterclockwise around the needle, and since it's not anchored anywhere here, I need to hold this stitch in place with my index finger. Then I'm going to rotate the needle tip down and through the ring from front to back, wrap the working yarn counterclockwise around the needle, and then pull that new stitch back through the ring. And now I have 2 stitches cast on, and it's not quite so fidgety. Yarn over counterclockwise with the needle above the ring, hold it in place, rotate the needle down and through the ring from front to back, yarn over counterclockwise, and pull it back through the ring. With the needle outside the ring, yarn over counterclockwise and hold it in place. Rotate the needle through the ring from front to back, yarn over counterclockwise and pull it through. With the needle outside the ring, yarn over counterclockwise, rotate the needle through the ring from front to back, yarn over counterclockwise, and pull that last stitch through. So now I have all 8 stitches cast on, and I'm just going to hold them in place here with my finger very carefully as I let go of the loop and I let go of my working yarn. Now, as I said before, we can use this yarn tail, pull on the yarn tail, and it closes up that ring magically. And if you can see here, this last stitch kind of stretched out a little bit as I was doing that. All you need to do to tighten that last stitch is just pull on your working yarn and it tightens up that last stitch. As you're knitting your first row or round of stitches, you may find that the magic ring opens up a little bit. All you have to do to remedy that is after your first row or round, just pull on the yarn tail and it'll tighten things up. All my stitches are cast on, but before I can begin knitting in the round, I need to divide these 8 stitches onto my knitting needles. I'm using these flexible double pointed needles, so that means I'm going to have half my stitches on each of 2 needles. So 4 stitches will stay on this needle, and I need to transfer 4 stitches onto another needle. To transfer those stitches, all I'm going to do is slip them from the right needle to the left needle without twisting them. So I'll slip 1 from right to left without twisting, 2, 3, and 4. And once those stitches are transferred, I'm ready to start knitting. So I'm going to slide things down to the other end of the needle here. And now I can knit in the round, and the first stitch that I knit is going to be the first stitch that was cast on, and it's here at this back needle. I hope you enjoyed learning how to do the invisible circular cast on. If you did, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel, The Chili Dog, for more helpful tips and tutorials. Until we stitch again, happy knitting!